this is a continuation of a project I started last year. I took some footage of doing the rear brakes on this car. So as you can tell, this is an 07 Audi A3. It's got the 3.2 in it, and it's ugly. They're cool cars. I actually really like the way this thing looks, and it kind of fell into our lap, but it's rusty. And all the examples I could find of this car were rusty. Anything in the Midwest, Wisconsin, South Dakota, North Dakota, Minnesota, the way they built these cars must have trapped moisture in them somewhere in our northern climate, and then the salt on top of that just wrecked these things. So I'm starting in the back here. I am going to be pulling the taillight. I'm just gonna tape this off because this part is good. This is plastic, so it didn't rust. So the plan is to just tape this whole thing off and pull the lights out, pull this off. I'm gonna debadge the whole back of the car, and then I'm just gonna sand it down. I'm not even gonna Bondo it or anything, because we will be dismantling this car at the end of the summer. So Wolf Auto Parts, the company I work for, they're sponsoring me to race this car. And so they've given me this car to race, and then at the end of the season, we're gonna dismantle it, and then we'll find a new car for next season. And that's how we make our money. We make our money by taking these things apart and then selling and shipping these parts worldwide. You can find us at wolfautoparts.com and just check us out. Audi, Volkswagen, BMW, and Porsche. Those are our main cars. So that's the fate of this car, and that's why it isn't worth really fixing this a whole lot. I'm just gonna clean it up and paint it white so it's all one color and doesn't look like a rust bucket. Let's get to work. So the car looks a little different than when I started. Stripped everything down, sanded it all down. I mean, you can still see clearly where the last guy had painted. There's a big old drip line, and he just crappily masked off with the 3.2 and the A3. I can't do any worse than this guy, you know? So we'll see what it looks like when I'm done. So I have wiped it all down. I have sanded it all back as good as I'm gonna sand it. The stuff's so thin, if I sand this any farther, it's just gonna be like there's a hole right here. You know, it's all gonna be like that if I go any farther. So I'm gonna wipe it down one more time with acetone just to clean it up, make sure there's no oils and stuff on it, and then it's gonna be time to prime, and then sand again, and then wipe it down again, and then paint it. And that's how all that's gonna work. So, cool. All right. So, here goes nothing. This will be the first time I've spray painted anything, I think. Pretty close to it. I think I spray painted some handles for my bathroom. I did like a bronzy thing on some handles instead of spending the $5,000 they want for the 14 handles. I painted them. So that's the most spray paint experience I have. So this should be interesting. Do you start at the top or the bottom? I don't even know. I'm gonna start at the bottom. As you can see, I've already finished this project, but I wanted to jump in the middle of this and say a few things that I learned that you should definitely do. First off, make sure you have ventilation. It was so stupid of me to start this project without anything. I didn't have the garage door open, I didn't have the side door open, and it got so bad in here. That was dumb of me. Don't do that. I'm still dealing with some of the effects. This is the next day. I took a long shower last night. Like, my boogers were gray. I feel like the inside of my lungs are probably gray. It was just bad. So tip number 2, respirator. There is absolutely no reason why you shouldn't have worn some sort of mask on your face when you spray painted. Again, this is the first time I've ever spray painted anything. I mean, I heard people say it. Seriously, even if it's just a small amount of painting that you have to do, wear a mask. Okay, don't be like me, wear a mask. Those are the 2 most important things that I learned while doing this. The third one, cover your entire car. Okay, I thought a little overspray, big deal. No, I'm gonna have to like buff my entire car because there is small specks of paint all over the entire rest of the car. So again, make sure it's well ventilated before you start. Make sure you wear a mask. Cover your entire car. Those are the 3 big lessons I learned from this experiment today. Just do those 3 things. If you do nothing else, do those 3 things and then paint away. All right, let's get back to it.
Rainy day. On a rainy day, on a rainy day, on a rainy day.
Oh yeah, that's gonna be all over the car, isn't it? Yeah. Well, I didn't think I would dust my entire car in primer, but I have. So, not sure how I'm gonna clean that. Maybe with that acetone, just wipe it all down before it dries and then try and cover my car. Yeah, I think that's the plan. All right, we're gonna let this dry for about 10 minutes and then we will get back to it. We'll do, I'm thinking 3 coats to really get this good and then sand it back and then top coat. So 3 coats, sand, top coat, hopefully it's good. And after 3 coats, maybe I'll be better at painting. And then the top coat will be the 4th coat. So either my arm will be dead or I'll be really good at painting. My arm will probably be dead. I may never be good at painting. But such is life. See you in about 10 minutes. All right, round 2. After this dries up nice, We'll sand it all smooth, and then we will be painting it white to match the rest of the car. Well, I don't know if it'll match the rest of the car, but it'll be white. Rust-Oleum semi-gloss protective enamel. Yeah, should be good. So I've given it a little time to cure. I don't know if I've given it enough time to cure. I don't really know what I'm doing, but I put a lot of primer on here, so I'm feeling pretty confident that I can lightly sand back the primer till it's smooth to the touch, and then paint it white. That's my plan. So here we go. Okay, well, this is my attempt at painting a car. I'm gonna touch up some of the stuff that's easier to do with the door open, and then once I hit those areas, then I'm gonna put this down. I'm gonna have to retape some of the stuff off because I tore some of the paper opening this to sand it and get all that done. So now that I've sanded it, I felt around with my hand. I have no idea what I'm doing. So I'm doing the only thing that I know how to do is to feel it to see if it's smooth. And if it's smooth, then it's as good as I can do, because let's be honest, I spent $34 at Walmart to do this. So $34 at Walmart job, still gonna look nicer than the rust that was there. It may not have actually fixed my problem. I'm probably just covering up the rust. I didn't cut out the rust. I didn't use any rust inhibitor, none of that stuff. So again, don't follow my lead on this. This is just me documenting the progression of this car. So let's get to throwing a little white on there. I know that this car isn't exactly white. I think it's white. It's very close to white. They're white, but I don't think it's a pearl or anything, so this shouldn't stand out too bad. But still, I mean, it was rusty to begin with, so hey, anything's better than rust, right? Well, I think I got it. There's so many specks of paint and crap on this. I'll let it cure overnight. I'll sand it down, I think that's what you do, right? To finish it off. You buff it or something? I don't know. Well, I started off saying 25-foot paint job. I think this would pass a 25-foot test. Just buff it out. That's what they say, right? Buff it out. So we'll see what happens. All right, it's time for the big reveal. So let's take a look. Let's go. I think it turned out pretty good for $34 and 5.5 hours of work. Probably gonna try and clean it up a little bit more. Just, I don't know, maybe not. With this spray paint, I'm not sure what I can do to make it a little shinier. I gotta clean up the tail lights. I got some overspray on them, but once I get all that cleaned up, I got it all back together. It looks good. No more rust. So that was the goal. I think, like I said at the beginning, if it passes a 25-foot test, we're good to go, and I think it does. So there you have it. Any idiot with a spray can and some sandpaper can make his car look a little bit better.